Well, the sun is shining. It wasn't shining yesterday. A lot of snow, and the old 48-minute flight east for the Minnesota Vikings, Erin Andrews, wasn't so simple, was it?
Oh, no. Who doesn't love holiday travel? Of course, the Vikings stuck on their plane for about 5.5 hours. Needed the fire department to come help them out, but despite all that, players seemed pretty upbeat today. Sam Bradford telling me he didn't get to the hotel till about 10:45. Mike Zimmer said the coaches didn't show up till after 11, and because of that, meetings were canceled. Mike Zimmer saying he didn't get to address his team until right before kick. He would joke with them and say, it's just been one of those years, but if you can't get up for a game like this, Coach Zimmer said that I'm doing something wrong. Joe?
All right, Aaron. Well, on the return, it's Kristen Michael who can really go. And Michael almost made the 30. Marcus Sherrill's on the tackle. Vikings, by the way, won the toss. They defer. So here's Aaron Rodgers starting with the football. And it's been an incredible stretch for Aaron Rodgers, not just over this 4-game winning streak. They've gone from 4-6 to 8-6, but he knows how to play at home in December.
Yeah, he just knows how to play, period. I think it's interesting when you look at his season overall, there was this notion that he was not playing well early in the year, but for a guy who has not necessarily had a great year, 32 touchdowns, just 7 interceptions, has not turned the ball over during this 4-game win streak.
Handoff is to Ty Montgomery, and he will cut upfield, and you know the story about Ty by now. And there's his strength, just refusing to go down. Last year was drafted out of Stanford in the 3rd round to be a receiver. He started to slide Troy down the depth chart. And Aaron Rodgers is one of the early guys to say, I think he can be a running back, more to catch the ball out of the backfield, but man, he's become a running back.
Yeah, I think he surprised everybody as far as how well he has run the ball. You're right. Rodgers wanted him in the backfield, but to be more of a scat back, a receiving threat, because he wasn't getting any playing time as a receiver. But boy, he has run the ball very well.
2nd down and 5. Rodgers protected, and there's Jordy Nelson for a 1st down. 15-yard completion for Aaron Rodgers.
This pass protection for the Green Bay Packers really has been outstanding all season long. One-on-one on the outside with Jordy Nelson versus the 38-year-old veteran Terrence Newman, and he hooked up for a nice completion. A lot of that running game gives them some one-on-one looks on the outside, and Jordy Nelson, coming off that big knee surgery, he's playing his best football right now also.
Yeah, these two teams met in week 2, and Nelson is like a different guy compared to early in the season. Out of the backfield, Montgomery. And he levels Sendejo. Kendricks in on the stop as well. That was a 10-yard catch and run, and number 88 is tough.
He is tough. He's 225 pounds, and he's a hard guy to get to the ground as well. Eric Kendricks, the linebacker, this was a defense that got shredded last week in that loss to the Indianapolis Colts, especially in the 1st half. And a lot of missed tackles, a lot of busted coverages, the underneath coverages. They turned Montgomery loose in the flat on that play.
Vikings had a terrible day defensively at home against the Colts last week. Here's a handoff to Montgomery. Good play. And it was Linval Joseph who blew it up, and Eric Kendricks on the tackle, a loss of 1. And here's a look over the past 8 games at what this offense for Green Bay has done. But today, they don't have Randall Cobb, who we saw get injured against Seattle here a couple of weeks ago, and he was not right last week, and they're giving him a weekend to try to get fresh.
I think that's the right thing to do, too. Like you said, I mean, essentially he was not out there last week. He's been banged up. It's been a tough year for Randall Cobb physically. Giving him a rest, and hopefully he can come back and be stronger for it.
2nd and 11. Quick throw. Kristen Michael out on the edge, and a well-defensed play as Xavier Rhodes, their top corner and a Pro Bowler this year, brings him down. So 3rd and 10 coming up. And here's the defensive rank. The numbers overall pretty good for the Vikings, but a lot of that was built early when Minnesota started 5-0. And now they've lost 7 of 9 since. It's really considered Mike Zimmer's defense, although he's the head coach, and they've been sliding for a while. 3rd down and 10.
Lucky. 319. 319 up.
Quick throw. Cook. Good tackle. It's Daniil Hunter who brings down Jared Cook, and that'll bring about 4th down. Aaron Rodgers looks over to the sideline, pleading for a chance to go for it, but Mike McCarthy's going to punt it.
Well, it's good discipline by the Minnesota Vikings. Remember, this is a team that has had costly penalties at critical moments. They certainly did last week. Aaron Rodgers on 3rd and long. He's a master at the hard count. He tries to draw him off sides. They hang in there, and they force a punt.
Shum punts it. End over end. Janis can't get to it. And by the way, only the 5th time no opening drive points for the Packers this season. Good start by the Vikings on defense. Here comes Sammy. No score.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency.
Well, Sam Bradford, who was the first overall pick back in 2010 of the then St. Louis Rams, was there through 2013, injured in 14, last year in Philly. This is first year in Minnesota. Saw that completion percentage. It would be record setting if it holds, but a lot of short throws, and this an inaccurate throw to Stephon Diggs to start his day. Patterson was in that region as well. It's 2nd down and 10, and offensively the run game has just been terrible. There's no other way to say it. They haven't had Adrian Peterson for the bulk of the year, and the offensive line, Troy, has been a patchwork deal since the beginning.
7th offensive line combination to start here this afternoon. A lot of moving parts. It's changed a lot from when this team last met, the Green Bay Packers.
Thielen out on the edge. Got around the initial tackle of Quentin Rollins, got a couple of extra yards, picks up 6. 3rd down coming up. And over the last 4 games during this streak, look at what the Packers have done defensively in the takeaways. That's what has made Dom Capers really happy.
They've had 10 of those in the last 2 weeks. They had 4 last week. They had 6 the week before against the Seattle Seahawks. And you know, Dom Capers over the years, when you look at this defense, when they've played their best complementary football to their offense, it's been because they've been able to create takeaways.
Matthews came across. He plays on obvious passing downs. It's 3rd and 4. Pass to the sideline, broken up or dropped. It's Jerick McKinnon. And with Thomas there defending, the linebacker for Green Bay, it's a quick 3 and out for Sam Bradford and the Minnesota Vikings offense.
They're just not able to sustain drives. It's been the Achilles heel for this offense throughout the year, and I don't know that McKinnon had even gotten enough depth on the route that if he even catches the ball, it was going to be close as to whether or not it was going to be enough for the 1st down. So a 3 and out here for this offense to start the game.
And a drive that lasted less than a minute. Block. With Hyde waiting for it, takes it inside the 30, able to leap one player and knock down at the 39. A return of 10. Packers get it right back. Early going at Lambeau, no score.
Today's game is sponsored by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly.
Divisional battles, that's what it's about in the NFC North. And Aaron Rodgers hasn't fared that well against Mike Zimmer defenses last couple of times out against him. But Aaron Rodgers is red hot. 2nd time he's had it. Throws. Davante Adams. 2 big drops last week at Chicago. Didn't drop this one. Harrison Smith, who's active and back after 2 weeks off, there to make the stop.
Well, you see the 2 deep safeties, and so you work the middle of the field, and Davante Adams is able to get in there. And you're right, coming off a tough game last week, he's had himself a heck of a year, though. And you know, one of the questions for a defense when you have the skill sets of a Ty Montgomery is how do you play him? Do you play him as though he's a receiver, or do you play him as though he's a running back? The Vikings went base personnel there. They come out throwing and create some holes in that defense.
They fake it to Montgomery, wide open for the catch, Geronimo Allison. And this guy will become a weapon for Aaron Rodgers. Geronimo Allison, a rookie out of Illinois. He had a bad 40 time, so he slipped in the draft. He was a free agent, and he is a Ted Thompson find.
Well, that's all play action. I mean, it's what the running game does for you, and it's not lost on the Vikings how successful this offense was last week in that win against the Bears. And so you go play action, you get the linebackers in zone coverage to bite, and Allison gets in behind him on the crosser.
Adams has his second catch. Prior to that, Aaron Rodgers had gone 6 for 6 and had found 6 different receivers. Davante Adams, Aaron Andrews, has really had some great year.
Yeah, and you guys mentioned those 2 drops last week. I talked to him right before the game about moving on. He said that was my problem last year. I got into my head whenever I would drop the ball. I couldn't move on. I'd like to go out there and shine and be a perfectionist, but it's something he's really worked on this year with himself and with his quarterback.
Celebrating his 24th birthday here on the 24th of December. Christmas Eve, pass clock. And then the immediate tackle by Chad Greenway. It's Ty Montgomery. By the way, people say, why hasn't he changed his number? It's an NFL rule. You can't change your number mid-season, so he keeps 88 as a running back. I would think going into next year he will no longer be 88.
Right, yeah. If they just started listing him as a running back 2 weeks ago. I mean, even though he essentially was a running back a month ago, it didn't take him until last week to finally put him down as a running back. And you're right, next year if he's still listed as a running back, he'll end up giving up the number 88.
Play clock almost expired. Pass caught. Nelson, Jordy Nelson, touchdown. He leads the league in touchdown catches. Let's make sure he was in. He's in. Touchdown, Green Bay.
Well, the Vikings, they come up and they show blitz that they're going to bring linebackers in the guard center gaps, and as they pull out, nobody then picks up Jordy Nelson coming off the line of scrimmage with a free release and finds the hole in the zone. And we've seen already a carryover from what happened last week, just turning receivers loose, vacating zones, and Aaron Rodgers has exploited it.
7-0, and how about Aaron Rodgers? 9 for 9 for the game, and on that drive, 5 for 5, and you never know where he's going with the ball. He finds his favorite. Jordy Nelson leads the league, 13 touchdown catches, 7-zip. Pack.
This game is sponsored by Dodge. Domestic, not domesticated.
It's Christmas Eve party here at Lambeau Field. You see the most 10-plus touchdown catch seasons for the Packers all time. Sterling Sharp leading the way with 4, but right on his heels is Jordy Nelson, who has 13, and he's like a different guy after getting healthy in the second half of this season. Coming off that torn ACL. Here's Thielen on the return, and after that short kickoff, Thielen takes it to the 30, where he's brought down by Morgan Burnett. Writers and players for the Vikings described last week's effort against the Colts at home as lackadaisical, inept, flat, and lifeless. It's like my dating life in high school. Mike Zimmer not too happy with what's gone on so far today against that highfalutin defense.
Hey, he told us he was as interested as anyone to see how that defense came out and played today. Well, the early returns are not good.
From the 31, fake it to McKinnon. Bradford is protected. Now McKinnon gets it out of the backfield, room to run. And Jerick McKinnon will take it to midfield and maybe to the 49 of Green Bay. Carissa Thompson on Christmas Eve with a game break.
To Chicago we go. Joe, Redskins currently in the 8th spot in the NFC race. Packers in the 6th, and this helps Chris Thompson. 7-yard run for his team. Redskins up 7-0 over the Bears. Joe, Troy, and Aaron.
All right, Carissa. So the role for their quarterback, Kirk Cousins, has been pretty good this year. Maybe he gets a long-term deal, but a whiff on Monday night at home against Carolina. That's really going to cost the Redskins. First down at the 49. Here's McKinnon. Nice spring to his step. Gets a block on the edge and picks up a first down. Jerick McKinnon, Matt Asiata, no Adrian Peterson after he was activated last week. He is out with knee and groin issues. Probably has seen his last day as a Minnesota Viking. Talking about Peterson as McKinnon gets 11.
A pretty good defensive call there by Dom Capers. They bring Micah Hyde off the slot right where McKinnon was running the football, but he gets caught inside. McKinnon able to bounce it to the outside, picks up a nice gain.
Great.
Bradford, Thielen, pass caught. And with the spot, that's enough for another Viking first down. Gunter on the tackle, and a nice drive being put together by Bradford.
Well, they've gotten some pretty good chunks on this drive, and those have been hard to come by for this offense. But when they have been able to score points, that's what's happened within those drives. Now, like Mike Zimmer said, you get down here, you've got to be able to then come away with points. They struggled with that last week. Of course, Peterson had the fumble. We'll see what happens on this drive.
3 straight first down plays for the Vikings. Bradford to his right. Pass is caught for the 4th consecutive first down. It's Thielen.
Adam Thielen, there were some questions as to whether or not he was even going to be able to play. Left that game last week with a neck injury. He's had himself a nice year, and someone who is in his 3rd season drags his right toe. It's a good catch, extending himself and making the play. And he's been within this offense for 3 seasons, and he just continually works and has turned himself into a pretty good player. He's been one of the more consistent performers for this offense all year.
First and goal, Asiata will carry, and Matt Asiata will take it to the 4. McKinnon typically gets him down there, and then Asiata takes over, a gain of 6. You say the Vikings, Troy, had 4 consecutive first downs. They had 2 in the entire first half last week against Indianapolis.
Yeah, that was some pretty tough sledding all the way around in that game. That's one where you just want to burn up the film and never have to revisit it. But this is a place here in Lambeau for this Vikings team. Historically, have not had a lot of success.
47, local.
Bradford, end zone, off the hand of Thielen. Looked like Adam Thielen may have flashed open, but Bradford missed him. It's 3rd and goal.
Yeah, he misses him. Searles, their right tackle, he gets pushed right back into Sam Bradford's face, and I think that had as much to do with the high throw as anything. As you see Dayton Jones off the edge, but that's, those throws you've got to hit. I mean, you just can't miss open receivers in the end zone. But I think that Dayton Jones and then Searles in the face of Bradford had a lot to do with it.
3rd down and goal. Pass is knocked down, and there's Matthews, and people have questioned why. With a sprained left shoulder, Clay Matthews continues to play, and their answer is because he's able to do this, and he's getting healthier as the season has gone on.
Well, the fact that he's even out here competing, I think, says a lot for Clay Matthews. He's likely going to have surgery when the season's over. It's a significant injury that he is fighting through. The critics will say, yeah, he hasn't done much, but he's given it everything he has. He makes a play there on 3rd down to force a field goal.
22-yard try by Forbath. Blair Walsh kicking for the Vikings when these two met in week 2. Now it's Forbath, good from 22. It's a 4-point game at Lambeau. There's a scoring drive, and there were some chunks on that drive for the Vikings offensively. 31 total yards for Jerick McKinnon. It ends in a field goal as the drive stalls inside the 10. So Aaron Rodgers will get the ball back. Said it going to break during our little open segment that his legs feel good. Forget what they tell you. It's when they practice during the week that you know they're healthy, and that was the deal with Aaron Rodgers this week for Green Bay. Here is Michael. Kristen Michael to the 25, the 26th. As he stood up there, and how about some shout-outs from the Navy?
From the sailors and families aboard USS Green Bay.
My name is Commander Brian Tanek, I'm commanding officer at USS Minnesota.
To all of our friends and family back in the United States of America, happy holidays! Happy holidays!
Go Vikings!
The men and women of the USS Green Bay and the USS Minnesota, both on active duty, defending our nation this holiday season. So from all of us to all of you, I know a particularly tough time to be away from friends and family. So thinking of you and thanking you on this day. It's a first down for Aaron Rodgers at the Green Bay 26.
How about the dude chunking that cheese hat? Give me that.
Davante Adams started this play in the backfield, and Rodgers finds Jordy Nelson, who was left alone, and he's down inside the 30. They can get you from so many different directions. That one good for 48.
Well, this wasn't a blown coverage as much as it was just Captain Munnerlyn. He gets tripped up and is not able to then stay in coverage, and Aaron Rodgers, as he does so many times with time in the pocket, he's going to find the open guy. You see the time that he has and how he's able to just see the entire field and scan it, and then off his back foot, throw a perfect ball to a wide open Nelson.
It's 9 straight pass plays, and the first incompletion right there to Davante Adams, and Rodgers, I think, raised his hand like, that one's on me.
Well, you think about it, Joe. I mean, the last 2 times these teams have met, the Vikings have won. And the reason that they've won those games is simple. They've been able to cover the receivers, and it's been tough sledding, you know, getting the ball to these wide receivers, and yet they open the game up, the Packers do, and Aaron Rodgers is having a heck of a start. And a lot of open guys. This is a secondary that is very talented with some awfully good corners to cover.
And a great free safety in Harrison Smith. This one dropped off for Montgomery. Montgomery to the 20. Mike Zimmer has his safety back in Harrison Smith, who missed 2 games with an ankle sprain. Finally able to practice this week, and if there's one guy who is not to be replaced for Mike Zimmer, it's number 22. He's terrific.
Yeah, he's a lot like what Earl Thomas is for the Seattle Seahawks, and he's the captain back there, and he's got great range. He brings some real toughness. They certainly missed him the last 2 weeks that he's been out.
3rd down and 4. Good protection. Adams, touchdown, what a throw. Just a beautiful throw.
Well, it's outstanding work because they go one-on-one on the outside, and Rodgers liked the matchup right from the snap. He knew exactly where he was going with the football. Davante Adams, unlike last week, he hauls it in on a perfectly thrown back shoulder pass to finish off this drive. A lot of pressure on this defense to hold opponents down, but the Packers now come away with 2 touchdowns in the first quarter.
And lead at 14-3 as they try to win their 5th straight. Happy birthday to Davante Adams on this Christmas Eve. Back in 30 seconds. I don't know that the average fan, certainly the average play-by-play announcer, I'll put myself in that category, can describe how good that throw is. It looks simple. Well, when you've got that one-on-one look on the outside, that's almost indefensible. That ball is thrown so well to Davante Adams.
There's no question. There is no way to defend that. And if you try to defend that, then you get beat over the top. So, you know, like the other great quarterbacks in this league, when you're able to put the ball where you want to, as Rodgers is right now and during this hot streak, makes it awfully tough on anybody.
Here it is again to Adams.
It wasn't bad coverage at all, but when you put it on the back shoulder and Davante Adams is expecting it, maybe he gets away with a little bit of a push, but I don't think it should have been called there. But you see the move, and then the separation, just anticipating where the ball is going to be thrown. And again, it certainly helps when you're afforded the protection that Rodgers has had. I mean, a lot of these sacks that they've had offensively are not due to the offensive line. Most of them have been a result of good coverage and Rodgers holding on to the football, and the protection's been good again to start this game.
Here's Asiata on first down, a little stutter step and out to the 30. A carry of 5 yards where D-Tone Jones brings him down. Second down and 5. And the Vikings get right back to the line. But then Bradford slows it down a bit, allows Green Bay to get set. Out on the edge, Asiata drops it. Wasn't much out there anyway. Third down and 5 is the result.
Well, as I was saying earlier, this Vikings defense, when they give up 17 points or more, the Vikings are 1-6 this year. And so there's an enormous amount of pressure on that defense to hold the score down. And right now at 14-3, it then puts the pressure on the offense, and this offense just simply isn't capable of having to play that type of game based on the issues that they have, whether it's the offensive line, there's no balance within the running game, and it makes it a challenging effort offensively.
Saw the offensive effort in the first half last week against the Colts. Here is a good throw, and what a catch in traffic by Thielen. It's enough for a first down. It appears out to the 35, and it is. This was a tight fit, and Thielen with a good grab.
That's a well-thrown ball, and as you said, a nice catch by Thielen, and two receivers, you know, really without much separation. Never designed them quite like that. The outside receiver, I didn't see who it was, but probably in the wrong place.
Bradford downfield. Thielen, what a throw and what a catch for Adam Thielen. And another big chunk play against this Packer defense. Gunter in coverage and a completion of 32 yards.
Well, they reduce the splits on both sides, so they go bunch set inside the numbers, and it affords Thielen then a lot of room in man coverage on Gunter to get open, and then it's a matter of Bradford laying it out, and he does. And Thielen has been about the only constant in this first quarter for the Minnesota Vikings.
Jerick McKinnon with a nice pickup as he helps to protect Bradford. Now Micah Hyde is finally able to get up in a limp off to the sideline. Hyde took over last week when the Packers benched Demarius Randall in that fourth quarter, and Green Bay kind of collapsed in that fourth quarter. They allowed 17 points. The Bears with Matt Barkley at quarterback tied them, but then that Hail Mary or 60-yarder Jordy Nelson set up the game-winning field goal.
Well, yeah, and Demarius Randall, now he's back out on the field, so it'll put Quentin Rollins there in the slot. Demarius Randall had a tough afternoon last week. So Demarius Randall, he comes over because of the slot formation.
Bradford has Rudolph. They can't connect. 3 seconds left in the first quarter. 2nd and 10.
Yeah, this secondary for the Packers, they're terrific at the safety position. In fact, Clinton-Dix making his first Pro Bowl, and Morgan Burnett has had a heck of a year as well. The corners has been the issue, and it started in week 1 when they lost Sam Shields for what became the year with a concussion, but they've had a lot of guys in and out of the lineup. Demarius Randall had a heck of a game 2 weeks ago, 2 interceptions against the Seahawks. Struggles last week, still way too much inconsistency in his game. But this is a defense that teams have thrown the ball against them.
On 2nd and 10, handoff to McKinnon. Thomas on the stop, and that's how the first quarter will come to a close. America's Game of the Week, Jordy Nelson, has a touchdown in this one and a couple of big catches. And a visitor here at Lambeau. You're a mean Mr. Grinch. The Vikings have struggled on 3rd down and long. 3rd and more than 7 yards. They are last in converting across the NFL. It's 3rd and 9 as they trail by 11.
Rocco!
Bradford underneath McKinnon. And McKinnon's going to pick it up. That is a big first down for the Vikings, as it seems like, and a flag comes in at the end of the play. It seems like they're in a shootout right now with Aaron Rodgers. Packers indicating it's against the Vikings. It would be interesting if the first down were picked up prior to some penalty at the end of the play. But we'll get the call from Jeff Triplett. Here it is.
After the play is over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 78 of the offense. The runner made the line of gain, so it'll be 1st and 10 after the penalty.
So all it does is cost the Vikings yardage, as opposed to during the play it would have cost him the first down. And there it is for Searles. He gets the unnecessary roughness, but because the first down was picked up, it just marches the ball back. But now it's 1st down and 10.
Yeah.
With the ball back at the 37.
I hear what you're saying. It certainly beats not picking up the first down, but another costly penalty. I mean, where the ball would have been and where they are now, those yards are certainly costly. We'll see what happens on this drive, but Mike Zimmer cannot be happy about that.
Play action. Bradford pass is caught, and they get the yards right back. It's Rudolph with a first down. He will take it to just outside the 15, and that's the first catch. A 21-yarder for Kyle Rudolph.
Well, Kyle Rudolph, you see Joe Thomas is in coverage, and Rudolph is a big target down the middle. For a big guy, he runs pretty well, and he catches the ball well, and he's had himself a nice season, coming off a heck of a game last week when he had 97 yards on 8 receptions. But he's been another guy that offensively, I know it's been a struggle, but he's been good.
Here's Thielen on an end around. And for a guy who left in the 3rd quarter last week against Indy with a neck injury, he looks healthy and ready to go. A gain of 4.
Well, he sure does. And at 14-3, you know, the Vikings, they can ill afford to have to settle for a field goal here. They got to kind of match points, and the Packers have come away with touchdowns, and it's important for the Vikings to get one of their own.
10th play of the drive. Bradford in trouble and just got rid of it. Ellison the target. Matthews with pressure, and number 52 is starting to heat up for Green Bay.
Yeah, Matthews, he's working against T.J. Clemmings there on the outside, and he gets Clemmings going as though he's going to try to rush him outside. He spins and gets underneath and has a straight path. Then to Sam Bradford, and Zimmer doesn't like the pressure, nor should he, but T.J. Clemmings, he's now made 10 starts at left tackle, and it's been a tough year for that guy.
Play clock at 4, 3rd down and 6. Play clock expires, and that is inexcusable.
Delay of game, offense, number 8. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
That makes it 3rd and 11. Bradford wanted it snapped, but his center, Nick Easton, who's making his 4th straight start at center, didn't get rid of it.
Yeah, Nick Easton is a guy who is still kind of getting his feet wet. You know, he's in his 2nd year, and they decided to go with Joe Berger there at right guard, and when he was healthy to come back and play, and Easton, although he's been okay, he's still kind of learning some of the things, but costly 5 yards.
3rd and 11, sideline, Stephon Diggs. They're going to mark him out short of the first down. And the decision for a 7-7 team, they're going to send the field goal unit on, but when there's got to be a temptation when you're taking on an Aaron Rodgers team that you got to get as many points as you can. Let's see the pressure on Bradford. He got that hand up in the face from Matthews, but no flag from Triplett.
Well, as much as you'd like to come away with a touchdown, I agree with this call by Zimmer. You can keep it a 1-possession game with 3 points here.
And the 26-yarder knocked through by Kai Forbath. And it's an 8-point game. Here at Lambeau on Christmas Eve, Pack on top.
Today's game is sponsored by Chevrolet. More 2016 J.D. Power dependability awards than any other brand.
That's Cerrugi's Candy. Been making homemade chocolate treats since 1899. And they were willing to share this holiday season. So thanks to Cerrugi's. As kick from Forbath is headed down toward the Packer end zone. Taking a knee is Jeff Janis in an 8-point game. Aaron Rodgers about to head back to work. The highly anticipated new FX original series Taboo from Ridley Scott and Tom Hardy. Set in 1814 and stars Tom Hardy as a rogue adventurer who plays a dangerous game between Britain and America. Taboo premieres Tuesday, January 10th, only on FX. Anything Tom Hardy is in, I will watch. 11 straight pass plays for the Green Bay Packers after 2 early runs, and they lead by 8 starting at their 25.
Well, the Vikings are sticking with their base defense. I wouldn't be surprised to see Aaron Rodgers continue to throw the ball.
Montgomery cuts upfield. I thought it was interesting when we sat with Ty and you asked him, how's your body? Are you sore? And he said, no, I thought I'd be sore, especially after last week. And he says physically he feels great.
Yeah, it's good to be young. You know, he was so excited when he was told a month ago or so that by Mike McCarthy that he was going to get moved to running back. He didn't even want to interrupt him. He was so excited. He just wanted to say, yeah, I'm all in. I've been hoping for this move all along.
Here he is again trying to get him rolling. He slides, gets a hit from Barr. Neil Hunter on the tackle, a gain of 3, 3rd and short coming up, and here's Kurt with a game break.
And Washington trying to keep their playoff hopes and dreams alive. This will help. Chris Thompson already ran one in, takes this one 17 yards for a receiving touchdown, and right now they're up 14-0 over the Bears in a game they have to win. Joe Tornado.
You absolutely have to have it. 14-0 there. It's 14-6 here. 3rd down and 1 for the Packers. Rodgers, you see how much better he's moving. Out to his right, throws behind Montgomery. Had him wide open, and a rare errant throw from Aaron Rodgers. It's 4th down.
Yeah, that's one he'd like to have back, and you're right. I think some of the mobility, we saw some of it last week, that the calf is certainly not an issue in this game, and one that Montgomery just was not able to handle. And Aaron Rodgers has high expectations for this football team. He has higher expectations for himself. Very disappointed in that throw.
Sean, the punt. It's a good one. Forcing the fair catch from Marcus Sherrills. 42-yard punt, nothing on the return. Vikings get it right back as they trail by 8. Well, last night it was not a fun night for the Minnesota Vikings traveling party. They land and then they have to sit. Their plane actually skidded off the runway, ended up in the grass, and because they didn't have any stairs tall enough to get to the door, because they were too far away from the terminal for the jet bridge, they had to sit there and wait for fire trucks to come out and 2 by 2 pull players and staff off the team. What a night.
That's unsettling. They weren't able to have their team meetings and breakout sessions last night. They got into their rooms late. That's not very comforting for a team.
Bradford steps up, has a man, pass is caught. And that's a former Green Bay Packer, Charles Johnson, his 19th catch of the year. Aaron, you learn anything else down there?
Yeah, you mentioned 2 by 2 they took him on the fire truck. Sam Bradford said, I wasn't a moron. I got off late because he said, I was timing it. It literally took 4 minutes to get the guys on, get them off, and I wasn't going to sit on the bus the whole time. So Sam said, yeah, they got so bored they were timing this whole thing all night long.
Now Bradford, the aforementioned quarterback, is lined up at the top of the screen. Wildcat, handoff to Asiata. For Jerick McKinnon and a gain of 3.
Well, we've seen Minnesota, use some of that wildcat before, and really, when you look at this first half, the Vikings, the last 2 possessions, they've gotten the ball down inside the 10-yard line, but it's been a problem for them this season. As you take a look at Pat Shurmur, who took over as the play caller a couple months ago, but they just have had a hard time punching the ball in the end zone when they've gotten into the red zone, and that's been the case again here today.
Second down and 7, and the ball is out. It belongs to Green Bay.
I don't think the ball ever even came up. Sam Bradford was in shotgun formation, and as we talked about, Nick Easton, who's making his fourth start at center, I don't know if he thought he was under center or he just didn't get it back. Well, it didn't even come out of his hand.
And it's Kenny Clark, the rookie, who ends up with the recovery for Green Bay, and that's something you can ill afford to do against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers the way they're playing right now.
I don't know that I've ever seen anything like this. I mean, the ball it just rolls. It just he never even has a grip on it. Kenny Clark, some credit seeing the ball and then going after it and making a play. Mike Zimmer, it's been a tough year to start out the year 5-0 and then lose 7 of your last 9. And what happened last night is you documented, and then to have something like that offensively happen.
Rodgers, Nelson to the 15, to the 10. And he gets up like, you can't stop me, and it was Sendejo who had a shot at Nelson and couldn't bring him down.
Well, it's a deep crossing route, and Nelson sets it up beautifully, but the throw then has to pull him away from the safety, Sendejo, and off the play action, linebackers up, and just look at the pocket. Once again afforded Aaron Rodgers. This is a defense coming into the game that just simply does not give up big chunks in the passing game. Already the Packers, they have 4 or 5 completions of over 20 yards. Pretty impressive.
Nelson already over 100 for the game. 9 minutes left in the first half. Rodgers out to his right. Fakes a throw and gets shoved down near the 2. But he is definitely feeling better with his legs. Kendrick's there to force him out. A gain of 7, and when he can do that stuff, with the number of weapons they have now with Cook and a running game with Montgomery and then Adams and Jordy Nelson, man, they're tough to stop.
Yeah, right at the end of this play, as you see, when he gets a little ginger as he gets to the edge and he gets the push. I mean, that push there is when you have a tendency trying to throttle down your momentum that you might re-aggravate an existing injury, but you're right, he's moving well. 2 weeks ago we saw him, he had to do everything from within the pocket. Last 2 weeks he's been able to be the Aaron Rodgers we know.
Protected again, steps up, throws, touchdown, Nelson again.
I think Aaron Rodgers and what he does as a quarterback, this is really what I envision. He steps up when he feels the outside pressure, and then once he steps up, he always slides then out, whether it's to his right or to his left, and he buys himself time, and he's allowing these receivers then to get open. And Jordy Nelson, he does it better than anybody on this Packers team. When his quarterback needs help, he finds a way to get open. Each and every week you see it. And I think that's who Rodgers is looking for more times than not once he does escape the pocket, just knowing that Nelson's going to find a way to get separation.
Aaron Rodgers, as they're now going to have a conference on the field, I don't know, it didn't look like there was anything with regard to it not being a touchdown. And now they do confirm it. It goes down as points off the turnover on that snap by Nick Easton, and Aaron Rodgers has thrown for 3 touchdowns and has only 2 incompletions in the first half. And a Jordy chant. Well, they missed him last year. Jordy Nelson having an incredible first half here at Lambeau. Jordy Nelson, 5 catches, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers has thrown for 3. As I said, only 2 incompletions, and Davante Adams has had some fun as well with a touchdown and 44 yards. The Green Bay Packers have put up 21, lead by 15. The Vikings have to try and keep pace in this shootout. The drive will start at the 25 for Sam Bradford. And we welcome you back inside the broadcast booth. I'm Joe Buck with the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman, and we can talk about anything you want to talk about. I think you kind of want to lean Aaron Rodgers right here, and the way he's playing football. This is vintage Aaron Rodgers.
Well, it's pretty interesting. Back when they lost 5 weeks ago to the Washington Redskins, I spoke with Aaron, and he said, hey, we're getting ready to go on a run. And I really didn't understand why he was so optimistic. I know in visiting with him yesterday, he said there was really no reason other than what he was doing was simply not working. He thought maybe if he came out and was optimistic, he'd take a little pressure off his team and allow them to play freer. And it has been something to watch here in the last 4 weeks offensively. And he looks like the former league MVP that we had watched before. And I tell you, they have put everyone in the NFC on notice. The way that they're playing on that side of the ball.
First catch of the year for David Morgan starts this drive, a 4-yard completion, 2nd and 6. You know, Rodgers has taken hits for his leadership abilities, and I think what you're hinting at and what he told us yesterday, he was being a leader and saying, put the focus on me. I say we're going to run the table. And he likes the way the team has responded. Here's Thielen. Goodbye. Touchdown, no flags, and the Vikings keeping pace. How about the day for Adam Thielen? And he finds some Vikings fans to leap into, and they don't like that here at Lambeau. The visitor Lambeau leap.
It looked like a double move on the outside. Adam Thielen, who was working against Quentin Rollins, and they get Bradford on the edge, and you see Rollins, he then bites it, and Thielen is having himself a day. As good as Jordy Nelson has been for the Packers, Thielen has been as good for the Vikings. Did a heck of a job answering that touchdown by the Packers.
71-yarder, and that for the Vikings is their longest play from scrimmage this season. Thielen, 6 catches, 142 yards, a touchdown. He's averaging just under 24 yards a catch. And this is an 8-point game again, because 8 found 19, who went for 71. And it's 21-13 on Christmas Eve, back in 30 seconds. 7:24 left in this entertaining first half here at Lambeau Field. 2-play drive. 71-yarder from Sam Bradford to Adam Thielen, who was an undrafted free agent in 2013 out of Minnesota State. He is their big play guy now in Minnesota. Christine Michael's going to have to take it out. Couldn't make a clean catch, and a flag flies right at the end of it. And it doesn't look to be good starting field position for the Packers in an 8-point game. Here's the call from Jeff Triplett.
During the return, Eli block in the back, number 25, the return team. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
It's against Marwin Evans for that block right there on Anthony Harris. Already a career-high 142 receiving yards for Adam Thielen. And he and Jordy Nelson are going swing for swing, drive for drive, bucket for bucket, catch for catch.
It's been pretty fun to watch. I know this guy, number 87, he's probably still a little bit chapped that he didn't get the news this week that he was going to the Pro Bowl, but he's having himself a day, as is Adam Thielen.
Starting from the 6, here's Montgomery right side. Well played up front by the Vikings, and it's Anthony Barr who was challenged this week by head coach Mike Zimmer when Zimmer said Anthony has a tendency to coast a little bit. So we'll see if the fire has been lit. The NFC playoff picture. We know the Cowboys are the #1 seed after the Giants lost on Thursday at Philadelphia. Then the Seahawks, the Falcons, but the Lions are in a precarious spot. They have a Monday game at Dallas and then a Week 17 matchup against the Packers in Detroit. It may very well decide the NFC North. 2nd and 7 for Rodgers. Pass caught. And it's the other Rodgers, Richard, and he leans out. They're going to mark him with enough for a first down.
Well, that Cowboys game on Monday night against Detroit, with, as you said, the loss by the Giants and them wrapping up home field advantage throughout. It'll be interesting, as it is every year with teams in that situation, as to how they elect to play the final 2 games. You know, will they start resting players, and what then does that mean once you get into postseason? But those are good problems to have to address, knowing you've got home field advantage throughout.
On first down, it's Montgomery left side. And this Vikings defense, it looks like they should have been charged up. I'm sure Zimmer was hot on them on the sideline. Wait a minute. I'm going to ask you to take a stand now. You're Jason Garrett, or you're Jerry Jones. What do you do the last 2 weeks with 2 rookies who are playing great in Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, but I know you want to get them some rest.
Well, I'd play Monday night like you're playing to win the game and not rest anybody. I think then the decision comes Week 17, and I'd play them into the 3rd quarter, knowing that they've got another week off. I think you've got to keep your edge. If they start resting guys now, that's a month off.
2nd and 7, and there's Jordy Nelson again. And he's going to make Ed Spita up here in the press box thumb through the record books with the kind of rate he's been catching balls at here in this first half. This is ridiculous. They can't cover him.
Well, they can't cover him in that zone coverage, and even when they've been in man, they haven't been able to, and they haven't been able to get near Aaron Rodgers either. I mean, a nice pocket right there in front of them, and you know, here's a defense that coming into the game is only giving up 205 yards a game, and heck, Aaron Rodgers has already surpassed that in the first half. They have taken it to the Vikings, to their strength, and they've dominated them.
Here's Jared Cook. Cook across the 35, brought down by Kendricks, a gain of 5.
And quite honestly, I'm a bit surprised, Joe, that teams have run the football against the Vikings, and knowing how well the Packers ran the ball last week, I thought we would see a little more of that. Not as big of running plays as what we saw, but maybe a little more balance. Instead, they're facing the #3 pass defense in the league, and they're going right through them.
500 total yards of offense between these 2 teams, and there's still over 3.5 to go first half. 2nd and 5. Rodgers is going to go down. Sacked, and it's Hunter. Danielle Hunter now has 11.5 sacks for a second-year player out of LSU.
Well, Danielle Cook is one of the really bright young players here off the edge, and Jared Cook is just not able to slow him down much. And in visiting with Mike Zimmer a few weeks back, he says, wow, the arrow is definitely pointing up for Hunter, and when it's all said and done, he'll be the best player on our defense, and he has continually gotten better since Zimmer said that.
That was a hit. A 3rd-round pick out of LSU last year. Neil Hunter now 3rd and 14, and down he goes again. Kendricks. And after suffering his first hit of the game, he is sacked on back-to-back plays, and it's 4th down.
Well, it's hard to tell if Lane Taylor has him or Jared Cook is supposed to come over, but regardless, it doesn't much matter. Kendricks has a free run, and Mike Zimmer's personality. He knows they've had some time in the pocket. Nobody's gotten near him. He starts dialing up some things, playing a little bit more aggressively. Had to change it up, and Kendricks gets home.
2 sacks to lose 19 yards of field position as Shum hits a high hanging punt. And near the 40, Sherrills with a fair catch. Here comes Kurt Menefee with a sneak peek at halftime.
Coming up on the Visa halftime, an upset of the Patriots is on the Jets' Christmas wish list. The Jaguars try to dash the Titans' playoff hopes, and the Dolphins look to wrap up a win in Buffalo. So get the milk and cookies ready for Santa, and make sure you join us on the Visa halftime.
Kurt, you're not allowed to have cookies. Pass them on down here. Let me give them chocolate chips.
What's happened to him? Say it.
Man, I don't know. I haven't recognized that guy in a decade. Are you kidding me?
Wearing Grinch green and cackling about a chocolate chip cookie. What does Howie Long say? You say people used to fear him. From the 39, this game could get really interesting really fast. Asiata with a nice run on first down. He gets about 9.5. And we're coming up on the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, obviously a big drive here, a big possession for this Vikings offense, and then also them knowing, hey, they get the ball to start this second half. They deferred after winning the coin toss.
Vikings trying to keep pace. Down by 8 on the move. 2 minutes to go first half. Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. Minnesota Vikings won here week 17 last season to clinch the NFC North 20-13. Handoff is to Asiata, and he's going to pound ahead for a first down. Dayton Jones on the stop. Game in Minnesota, I should say, and while a lot of streaks are on the line here, the main one is what's going on with the scoreboard here in the first half. Here's Asiata out of the backfield, and a nice gain on first down. Where they're going to mark him. Just short of a first down. 2nd and 1 coming up. The Vikings come out of here with any points, and they should be thrilled going into the locker room at the half. As you said, they get the ball to start the second half.
Well, Sammy, Bradford has had a nice first half, and they're moving the football as well as they have all season long. This is, as an offense, you get into this kind of rhythm, it's only going to help your confidence as you move throughout the rest of this game. You got to be feeling good with what they've done here in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
All 3 timeouts left for the Vikings. They fake the handoff, and down goes Bradford. Packers have it, and it was Clay Matthews that knocked it out. Recovered by Daniels, but that's number 52 doing what he does best.
Well, they don't give Clemens any help. We saw Matthews earlier with the spin move. This time he's going to go around him, but Clemens ducks his head right there, and he has a tendency to get off balance with that move. And as soon as Matthews, as an established pass rusher, as soon as he drops his head, he's beat. And Matthews comes around him, and Bradford has no idea that he's there. And he comes up with the strip sack, and a great play by Clay Matthews.
Clay Matthews has missed games this year because of a bad hamstring, but as you talked about, Troy, he was injured, his shoulder at Philadelphia at the end of November. It's a sprained AC joint, which includes tears in there in the shoulder and into the chest. They were stunned at how injured he actually was. And here he is after being relatively ineffective for the last 5 games. He's been effective. Wide open. Pass caught Allison. And with pressure on Aaron Rodgers forcing him out to his right, Geronimo Allison is good for 32.
Well, they run the outside guy to the middle, and then Allison comes up the sideline, and they just bust the coverage again. There's been a lot of this happening by this Minnesota defense where they have just left people wide open and vacated zones, and they do once again to Geronimo Allison. I tell you, Aaron Rodgers is going to find him.
Look at the big plays, 20-plus yards, 9 of them between these two teams.
Lucky!
48 seconds and all of their timeouts left, and Montgomery will force the Packers after that run to use one of them. Daniil Hunter on the stop, a gain of 2.
Well, pretty amazing turn of events. I mean, we're talking about the Vikings. If they're able to come down the field and come away with any points of their own, they get right back in it, only down a possession as it is. And There's the big play right there. Now they set the Packers up right now at the 20-yard line with a chance to get more points and extend their lead.
Vikings have struggled, to say the least, playing here at Lambeau. No December wins at Lambeau Field since 1986. And on this stretch for Aaron Rodgers, he lost his first start as a quarterback at home at Lambeau Field in the month of December. Since then, he's won 15 straight, thrown for 40 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions.
Here's the matchup right here, one-on-one with Jordy Nelson. That's Xavier Rhodes across from him.
2nd and 8. Rodgers, Nelson, forced out inside the 10.
It's the Packers' best receiver on their best corner, and you see the route running ability by Jordy Nelson as he starts inside, and then he is able to create the separation, but right now there's just no answer for Jordy Nelson.
7 catches, 144 yards, averaging over 20 yards a catch, 2 touchdowns, 1st and goal. End zone and thrown away. Geronimo Allison, the closest one to it. Allison with a couple of catches in this half. He came to camp 7th or 8th on the depth chart at the wide receiver position. But he is smooth, a lanky guy, good route runner, and as Aaron Rodgers has said, he doesn't have to think in his route running. Rodgers loves him. I think he'll just get better and better. 2nd and goal now with 32 seconds left.
Good chance you're going to get the play when your quarterback is Aaron Rodgers and he likes you.
Rodgers spins out. A ton of room in front of him. A move and a touchdown.
He's been touched all afternoon. He's got a free rusher, and Griffin is unblocked. I don't know if there was a bust up front or Rodgers just didn't anticipate it, but they had a free rusher with Griffin, and then again he shows what he's able to do. And I think in some ways, Joe, a couple weeks ago when he was not able to move because of the calf, I think it really helped this offense a little bit because he was forced to start throwing the ball a little bit more on time. But now you add his ability to escape and extend plays and then scramble, and it's a tough combination for any defense to slow down, and the Vikings have not been able to.
That is the 25th career rushing touchdown for the 2-time MVP Aaron Rodgers, who's in the conversation yet again. Back in 30 seconds. Packers lead by 15. You see that bottom line, the Packers have turned both fumbles into touchdowns. One by the center, Nick Easton, the latest by Sam Bradford. With 24 seconds left, the lead is 15. 3 timeouts left, but only 24 seconds on the clock. And it is all smiles on the near sideline for the Green Bay Packers, trying to win their 5th straight. Little pop-up kick, and this is the tight end Morgan on the return. David Morgan thrown to the ground after a return of 10 yards. Aaron Rodgers had this to say then and now.
R-E-L-A-X. Relax. We're going to be okay.
I feel like we can run the table. I really do.
In 2014, they came to within a half of football in Seattle of taking that R-E-L-A-X to the Super Bowl. It was the Seahawks who went, and now they are 1 game away from running the table if they win here today. Plenty of time left in this game for the Vikings, but Minnesota's going to have to find some answer for Aaron Rodgers, Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams, Geronimo Allison, and right on down the line. Vikings will have the second half kick. Be trailing by 15. Kurt and the guys. Visa halftime starts right now. First half moments brought to you by Febreze. Those were first half moments brought to you by Febreze. 28-13 game as we begin the second half, and we will welcome you inside the booth from down with that cable cam down there, and welcome. This has been really an offensive explosion by the Green Bay Packers
against a really good defensive team, and not really what we expected, although the Packers were playing well. But what a turn of events there at the end of that first half. It looked like the Vikings could cut it to a 5-point deficit. Instead, the Packers go in at half up 15, and the 2 turnovers by the Vikings really costly.
Well, the Vikings have to certainly win their final 2 games to have any chance at a playoff spot. A team that started the year at 5-0, riding that great defense, have now lost 7 of 9. It would be the 6th team since the 12-team playoff field was introduced to the NFL in 1990 to start 5-0 and miss the playoffs if they don't get in. Atlanta did it last year. Atlanta in a good spot as we play here in week 16, and the drive for the Vikings starts at the 25. Down to Aaron we go.
I spoke with Mike Zimmer about how do you cover Jordy Nelson here in the second half. He said, Jordy Nelson, how about we start covering everyone? He said his biggest message to his defense: do the things you were taught. Forget about doing all that stupid stuff you did in the second half. I hear you laughing, Troy Aikman.
He is. A good call.
I'm just thinking Jordy Nelson would be a good start, though. I know you want to cover all of them, but let's start with Jordy Nelson.
47.
On the 25. Aaron's not finished, by the way, Troy. Here's Bradford going down again, and it's Daniels who thumped him. Back at the 15-yard line. And Mike Daniels gets sack number 4.
Yeah, Mike Daniels, here he is, number 76, and he gets past right there in the middle. And Mike Daniels, as good as he is against the run, he's a big body, but man, he moves a pile, and he does an excellent job of creating some inside pressure, you know, in the passing game, and he drops Sam Bradford.
White, 47, White.
Second down and 19. We'll go back to Aaron in a second. Play clock at 3. Handoff to McKinnon. Out across the 20. Third down coming up. Aaron, please continue.
Yeah, not as comical. Mike McCarthy said he told his team this game is going to come down to big plays here. He's very happy the Packers are winning the turnover battle, but he said you've got to continue to take care of the ball here in the second half. He did wish you a Merry Christmas, both of you guys, by the way. I told him I'd pass it along.
Thank you. That's very nice.
Thank you, Aaron.
Third down and 13.
I feel like I'm in trouble.
No, Bradford, this one batted away. I think Clay Matthews feels better. He's out there way away from Sam Bradford, and he gets his right arm up, his good arm, and knocks it away.
Well, he's batted a couple of them down, and you see that, you know, so much of what the Vikings have shown coming into this game, and then we've seen some of it here this afternoon, a lot of the quick passing game, and they're ready for it, and they've batted a couple of those balls down. And Clay Matthews, you know, a lot of talk as to whether or not he should be rested. You just never know when those game-changing plays are going to occur. He's certainly capable, and he had one there right before the end of the first half, which led to 7 points.
Locked upon it. Hyde waiting for it, coming up to get it, and slides with a catch. Nice grab by Micah Hyde on America's Game of the Week. Bradford has been hit hard a couple of times. Packers have it up 15.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency.
Well, a proposal, an acceptance, and of course they're wearing number 87. Home and away for Jordy Nelson. Having a big day.
No way she says no with him in a Jordy Nelson jersey.
That's love. From the 45-yard line for Green Bay up 15. They hand to Montgomery running right. I want to amend something that I amended in the first half. And that was that the game last year between these two was in week 17 here at Lambeau. So all these records for Aaron Rodgers, which are unbelievable in the month of December, are all legit and factual, but it was a January 3rd game, so not technically a December game, when the Vikings came in here and stamped their ticket for the postseason when they won the NFC North in Mike Zimmer's second year. Rodgers with a 4-touchdown day, 3 through the air, 1 on the ground. He's got all day. Cook out of bounds, couldn't get the second foot down. 3rd down and 8 coming up.
Well, Aaron Rodgers underneath the center will have to play action. That's something he wasn't able to do last week because of the injured calf. He had a chance to Jared Cook earlier. He double clutched it a little bit in the pocket, which allowed Cook then to run out of real estate when he had him, as you see the delay in cutting it loose. But man, Jared Cook, talk about guys who have emerged with his health and the big game last week. And Rodgers, I think he's as excited about him as anything else offensively, with a weapon to complement Randall Cobb when he's healthy, as someone who can work the middle of the field.
In Cobb not active with the injured leg, and Rodgers is sacked. Danielle Hunter again with Kendricks in there as well. And Rodgers is going to take a moment to get up.
He got hit pretty good there in real time. He got sandwiched, and there should be a little cause for concern. He had Kendricks and then Danielle Hunter, met him right in the backfield, and pretty good hit. Kendricks on a delayed blitz here. He comes late, and he has a free shot, and then Hunter's right there on top of him, and he was in an awkward position when he went down.
Lambeau Field is just dead quiet while the fans here, who are enjoying every bit of this 4-game-plus roll. The offense has been on, and now they see their hero number 12 pop up. And they're able to exhale on Christmas Eve that Rodgers is okay, at least enough to get up and walk himself to the sideline.
Well, you can tell by his expression that he's in some pain, and he'll see if he's able to work through it. He doesn't want to show any signs out on the field and get up and come off the field and get checked out, but it looked awkward when it happened. I wasn't surprised he was a little slow getting off the ground.
It's a shared sack between Hunter and Kendricks. Each has a sack and a half in this game. Shum punts it. Fair catch called for and hauled in by Marcus Sherrills. And so after Bradford was hit, when the Vikings had it, now it's Aaron Rodgers who goes down. Punt follows, and the Vikings have it. It's been Aaron Rodgers on the bench after getting off the field. Now at least he's smiling, but stretching out the neck. He was doing that yesterday in our meeting with him at Lambeau Field here in our meeting room in our production get together. And now after that hit by Danielle Hunter, stretching it out again from the 13-yard line, down by 15. Bradford fires and finds Thielen. He gets 9. Let's go back to that hit on Aaron Rodgers.
You can see the neck right at the point of contact, and that's what you worry about. He's smiling over on the sidelines. It appears that he's going to be just fine. You look at this Minnesota now offense, and we talked about it. It's just been a group that through the first 5 games when they were 5-0, they just had 1 turnover during that stretch. And since that time, the turnovers have really hurt them.
McKinnon breaks loose on 2nd down and 1. Jerick McKinnon brought down by Blake Martinez after a gain of 11.
Well, good job on that interior offensive line, creating a little space for McKinnon. And like I said, the Vikings have been able to move the football. just have had the costly mistakes that have allowed this game to get out ahead of them. Good look there at the club that Nick Perry's wearing on that left hand, missing the last couple of games, having a great year. Hard to play the game when you're not able to use both hands.
Hard count not working in the favor of the Vikings.
False start, number 76 offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Nick Perry talked to Aaron Andrews with that club on his hand before the game. Aaron?
Oh, there we are. Yeah, he did. Obviously, you see how huge that thing is around his hand. Guys, I actually got word from the Packers during halftime that he had to go in the last 2 minutes of the second quarter to have the training staff rework it. No word as to what they did. Also, guys, cornerback Ladarius Gunter, he is done for the day.
He left, was carted off in the first half. Gunter to the, or rather, McKinnon to the 30. Gunter went into the dressing room in that first half, so they're getting pretty thin in the secondary for the Packers, not just for today, obviously, but going forward as they have that Week 17 matchup coming up against Matthew Stafford and the Lions.
Thin in the secondary. They've been thin at the outside linebacker position a good part of the year. Players in and out. Dom Capers, it seems like it happens every year that he's having to, you know, find ways to plug people in and hold it together, and this year's been no exception.
Second down and 13. McKinnon again has to bounce it to the edge, and he's tripped up by Martinez. Gain of 2.
Martinez and then Jake Ryan. Martinez talking about guys who missed some time. He returned last week after missing 3 weeks, and there's Dom Capers, one of the best in the business. He's been doing it a long time around this league. 2-time head coach. He just doesn't flinch. You know, he's so used to the guys that he just plays with who he has, but he finds ways to utilize the abilities of the players, and it's been a challenge. And now with Ladarius Gunter, he's been one of the constants at that position who's been able to shoot. He's played the last 13 games.
Bradford, good protection. Diggs for a first down. And then tackled awkwardly back at the 45, went backward just a bit, but forward progress gets him 13 and a first down.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs, we've seen a lot of Thielen, but you know, haven't seen as much of Stephon Diggs, and he didn't have, you know, much to show for last week's outing either against the Indianapolis Colts, but this is a better offense when they're getting the ball in his hands.
Weeks 9 and 10 against the Lions and the Redskins. Diggs had back-to-back 13-catch games. Not much sense. Here's one aired out downfield. A little contact. Charles Johnson and Demarius Randall both reaching for it. Incomplete. 2nd and 10.
Talked earlier about Demarius Randall. He was a safety in college, and when they brought him here to Green Bay, they were always going to play him at corner, and they liked his background because they felt that with his size that he could play physical and come up and press wide receivers. And I thought that was one of the things that was so surprising last week was how soft he was playing. He had the groin surgery earlier in the year, and you just don't know if that's still a factor or not. And then today he's been battling through a shoulder injury.
2nd and 10. Thielen gets it. Tackle will be credited to Quentin Rollins. Micah Hyde is there to clean up. A gain of 5, so a more manageable 3rd down. But Green Bay is now down to Mackinton Dorleant, a rookie out of northern Iowa who checked into the lineup on that last play when Demarius Randall kind of limped off the field. As you said, bothered by the groin and now a shoulder injury is Demarius Randall.
Well, Dorleant is on Cordero Patterson at the top of the screen.
Fly down, fly down.
Got to take a shot.
Giving him a lot of cushion. 3rd down and 5. Bradford out to his right. Flag flies. Pass caught Asiata, but a flag is down. Right now it's enough for a first down. But it looks like a hold against Minnesota. And Bradford slow to get up again.
Holding, number 68 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
And guess who forced it?
Yeah, Clay Matthews. TJ Clemmings is the one who's called. There's the hit Nick Perry puts on Sam Bradford. And you know, we've talked a lot about this offensive line. Everyone has who's talked about the Minnesota Vikings. And what's interesting, Joe, since 2007, the Vikings have drafted just 2 offensive linemen in the first 3 rounds. There's Matt Khalil and then Phil Lodeholt. And Rick Spellman, the general manager, he's got to address this group. And to me, that group is the one who always sets the tone for your entire football team. It's been a liability for this Vikings team all year.
3rd down and 15. 4-man pass rush. Pass is caught, but that's Rudolph way short. And not even threatening the first down marker, a gain of 9. And the punt team comes on for the Vikings.
Yeah, you have those penalties, and we've seen it here today. And it's hard for any offense, but for the Vikings, when they get to long down and distances, those types of penalties, they're just drive killers.
Kept the camera on Aaron Rodgers, watching him stretch out that neck since that hit by Daniil Hunter. Here's Locke on 4th and 7. He gets rid of it. Hyde on the bounce. Nice move. And Micah Hyde out near the 34, brought down by Sherrills. Here comes Aaron Rodgers. His Packers up by 15.
Today's game is sponsored by the all-new 2017 Ford Super Duty. This is the next level.
Well, proud day for the Packers, and it should be a proud day for Aaron Rodgers. $110,000+ donated to the Packers Salvation Army Red Kettle campaign. $38,000 of which came from Aaron Rodgers as he matched the player autograph signing total. So good for the Packers. Good for Aaron. First down pass is caught by Nelson. And Jordy Nelson out to the 39-yard line. That punt, by the way, by Locke, after the return by Hyde, netted just 18 yards of field position. It's 2nd down and 5.
Don't scoop it, Cor. Hey, alert the safety. Oh, scoop. No. You see it. Green 18. Green 18.
Rodgers out to his left. Fires a fastball and Nelson off his hands and incomplete.
Well, here's what I was talking about earlier with Jordy Nelson. He's going to be on a deep route to the post. Initially, that's where Rodgers was hoping to go with the ball. As soon as he sees Rodgers in trouble, he works back down, and they almost have a chance for another big gain. And you watch a lot of these teams, and when the quarterback is scrambling, no one really knows what the other is doing, and there should be a design to it. And I know in visiting with Mike McCarthy, there is when it comes to the Packers. They work on the scramble drill, and why wouldn't they? They've got a quarterback who is out on the edge often, but Jordy Nelson does a great job of getting open.
Vikings defense needs to make a play. Here's Kendricks on the tackle of Ty Montgomery, and that will force a punt. So a stop, and it's a 3-and-out series here for the Green Bay Packers.
And you feel kind of the momentum got taken away from the Vikings after that strip sack by Clay Matthews at the end of that first half, but there's still a lot of time left in this game, and the Vikings, if they can get something going, get a score, they're right back in it.
Sherrills will try and return it, and he is hit by Jeff Janis. Good play and well timed by Jeff Janis. Catch, hit, down he goes after a 47-yard punt. Well, the damage for these two guys done primarily in the first half. First half that had 41 total points, 554 yards. Here in this third quarter, 4 possessions between the two sides, 4 punts. 15-point game starting from the 14. Bradford for Thielen, incomplete. Bradford has to get up off the ground and Let's take a look at the end of this route.
It's Quentin Rollins, and
a little bit of a grab there.
Just a touch. Ball was in on the inside. I think it was a good non-call, but they're starting to rough Bradford up. It's pretty good now too. We've seen him on the ground a lot here lately.
Kenny Clark just got to him, still looking for his first sack in his rookie year. Does have a fumble recovery in this game that the Packers turned into 7. 2nd and 10. Here's McKinnon. And he doesn't go far, and there's Kenny Clark.
Yeah, Kenny Clark, I know in visiting with Mike Daniels a couple weeks ago, Kenny Clark out of that great university out west, UCLA.
One of 9 Bruins in the house today, including a Hall of Fame quarterback who hung his hat in Dallas.
Well, he was just 20 years old when he joined the Packers when he got drafted, and I tell you, Mike Daniels really he likes him a lot, and he's kind of taking him under his wing. And I know Daniels is a former high school wrestler, and so is Kenny Clark, and a lot of times that bodes well for that position, but he has really grown.
3rd down and 8. Aired out. The play is broken up. Good work by Demarius Randall, as Cordero Patterson was the target, and Randall, who's been in and out of the lineup, made the play.
Well, as soon as Cordero Patterson starts off the ball, his repertoire of routes is not very extensive. So once he gets vertical and he's up the field 5-6 yards, he's going deep. And a lot of the things that he does are right around the line of scrimmage with the bubble screens and the hitches and slant routes, and former 1st-round pick. And he's gotten a lot of playing time this year, but he's still kind of learning the nuances of how to run routes. Very limited in what he's able to do as a receiver.
2nd 3 and out over their last 3 possessions for the Vikings. And here's Hyde from just inside the 45, has room. Good return. Packers will start this drive inside Viking territory as we welcome you inside our broadcast booth. I'm Joe Buck along with the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman. I'll ask you, who can knock off the Dallas Cowboys? Dallas Cowboys, the #1 seed, that we know. If you're the Dallas Cowboys, and at one point I think you were in your lifetime,
right,
what team would scare you?
Well, Seattle would, because they're a veteran team and they've been to the dance and they've won and they've got their nucleus of players back. This Packers team would scare me the way that they're playing right now. I tell you, I like Dallas. I've said it before. They're the best team that I've seen this year in the NFC. The one thing that would scare me about Dallas, even though those rookies have passed every test, you get into postseason play, it's a different animal. And how well do they handle that stage? And then that would be the next test that they have to pass.
2nd time the Packers have started inside Viking territory, and Rodgers did well just to avoid the sack. Adams was the eventual target. 2nd and 10.
I'll tell you, the team, speaking of around the NFC, the team that has really had a heck of a year that people aren't talking a lot about is the Atlanta Falcons. And the year that Matt Ryan has had, that could be a dangerous team also.
Under 4 to play, 3rd quarter.
54 lane. 18.
Pass is incomplete. That ball hit the deck. Jordy Nelson could not make the diving catch. 3rd and 10 coming up. So both offenses sputtering here in the 2nd half after lighting up this field in the 1st half.
Yeah, both these defenses have kind of tightened up, and Vikings defense, if they're going to, you watch this, and they were so good early in the year creating takeaways, not only creating takeaways, scoring points of their own. Defensively, you almost sense that that's what's going to have to happen here in this game.
3rd down and 10. Pass. Allison, what a catch. That was a beautiful grab by the rookie out of Illinois for a 1st down. But a flag comes in right at the end of the play. Here's the call.
He used the hands to the face, number 98 in the defense. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is 1st down.
That's a 6'3", 202-pound receiver, so a big target that had to go down, reach out, and secure that catch in Geronimo Allison.
Geronimo Allison with Randall Cobb down, then his role moves up a little bit, and that was not an easy catch for him to make, and yet he was able to make it to extend this drive. Of course, he had the penalty on Linville Joseph.
From the 33, here's Montgomery, nothing. That was the first Packers first down of this second half on the catch by Allison. No gain by Montgomery. Small screen, stadium-sized content. Watch live local Sunday games on your smartphone with NFL Mobile. Montgomery out. Kristen Michael in. Michael, a guy, a running back who was drafted one spot behind Eddie Lacy.
Tell you what, if they hand the ball to him here, you're going to see a little different pace than what you see with Ty Montgomery.
He's fast. Does he have any room to show it? Takes it inside the 30, and a third and manageable coming up for Green Bay.
Kristen Michael, he's only been with the team for 5 weeks, and learning the offense, not easy to do, and they'd like to have played him a little bit more, but he audibles so much, Aaron Rodgers does, as Aaron was almost going to get Minnesota with a 12th man on the field. He's the best in the league at doing that. But Kristen Michael, he's just like a ball of fury when he gets the football in his hands. And talking with Mike McCarthy, he said even in practice, everything he does is 100 miles an hour.
Third down and 4.
Run! We're good. 19! Up!
Rodgers stays upright, gets the first down to Allison. And that's Aaron Rodgers at his best. Got out of trouble, found the open receiver for 8 and a first down.
Pretty amazing. He wanted to go to Jordy Nelson, and then there's pressure by Barr right up the gut. And this guy's amazing when he's on his game and he's able to move and create plays, and still able to find his guy Allison along the sideline for a first down. So many times you get into the postseason, speaking of that, Joe, it comes down to these quarterbacks, and Aaron Rodgers is playing as well as anybody in football right now.
On first down, Rodgers out to his right. Has Adams. And incomplete. Adams had it for a moment and lost it.
I don't know how this ball got there. There's two defenders, and you're going to see that Rodgers gives Davante Adams a chance, and he throws a perfect ball. And we talked about the 2 drops that Adams had last week. This will go down as a drop. Not an easy play with defenders' hands right in your face, but I don't know that you could make a better pass with good coverage as Rodgers just made for Adams.
319! 319 up!
Second down. Rodgers been doing this all day. Allison can't make a one-handed catch. If you think about Rodgers in 2010, they went in as the number 6 seed. They had to win their final home game here in week 17 to beat Chicago and get in. They went through Philadelphia, Atlanta. They won the NFC Championship game in Chicago and then won the Super Bowl. They got to the champ game in 2014. And if they end up in the tournament, so to speak, in 2016, 2017, they're going to go in.
This has been a clinic that Rodgers has put on this afternoon.
They're down in 10, free rushers, and Rodgers goes down. Eric Kendricks gets through, but he wasn't alone, and Rodgers gets up hot.
Well, Kendricks is having himself a heck of a game, and he's able to come on the inside pressure, and Ty Montgomery, he's got to try to get over and get as much of him as he can. He couldn't, and then with Munnerlyn also coming off the edge, they're able to get Rodgers to the ground.
Packers will let the game clock wind down on the third quarter. And for Kendricks now 2.5 sacks, 10 tackles. And a long field goal try will be on tap when we start the fourth quarter. 2 quarterbacks Quite the contrast today. Back after this from your local Fox station. It'll be a 48-yard try for Mason Crosby to begin this fourth quarter. To make it an 18-point game. It would be a season long. Crosby nails it. And it's 31-13. Green Bay on top. Next Sunday, She's Inappropriate and In Charge, TV's most outrageous new comedy coming to Fox. Caitlin Olsen is their guardian, but she's no angel. The Mick premieres next Sunday after football on Fox. Aaron Rodgers, his day, 23 of 32, 292, 3 touchdowns through the air, 1 running. And with 14 minutes and 55 seconds left in the game, Green Bay leads by 18 as they try to win their 5th straight.
It's a heck of a day against a good pass defense coming in, as we talked about. This secondary was only giving up on average 205 yards a game, and see the numbers that Rodgers had put up today against a good group, and it's been impressive.
Mike Zimmer will not be happy to learn, if he doesn't already know, his Vikings have now allowed a lot of points over the last couple of games. After a home loss, it was really disappointing. 65 points total over the last 7+ quarters of football for Mike Zimmer's team. Carissa Thompson with a game break.
Thanks, Joe. Tennessee is still very much alive in the AFC South, and this is not what they want to see. Their quarterback, Marcus Mariota, goes down with an apparent right ankle injury. He was carted off the field. His team trailing 25-10. Matt Castle replaces him under center. Joe?
Tennessee started this game, thanks Carissa, at 8-6, out of the playoff picture. Right now, that division being led because of tiebreakers by Houston. Here's McKinnon right side, and he has not had much room to run. Aaron Andrews, what are we learning about Sam Bradford?
Well, if you want to know how much pressure he's been under, just check out the back of his jersey, and now you can look at his non-throwing hand, kind of the knuckle of his middle finger, pretty good size cut, scrape right there. Obviously they didn't cover it up with a bandage. He was sitting by himself on the bench, just kind of massaging the area, taking care of it. See how he does.
2nd and 9. Quick throw. This is in the air, and was in the air for a while off the helmet of Charles Johnson, I think more than once, and it falls to the grass. 3rd and 9 coming up. Ball just sat up there for a moment.
And this defense has been very opportunistic with the interceptions, bouncing all over the place. Thought somebody was going to catch it before bouncing off helmets 3 times. Thought somebody's going to catch it before it hit the ground.
Clinton Dix had a shot at it. He had 2 interceptions at Chicago, 5 on the year, and he's a Pro Bowler. 3rd down and 9. Another short throw that's going nowhere, and Thomas is there to wrap up McKinnon. And I know there's not much there, but at some point on 3rd down and long, you have to go downfield.
Or if you see that a defender is covering the back out of the backfield and you've got no shot, you got to try to fit it somewhere else. Yeah, I think that there does become an approach. You see Pat Shurmur, it's been a frustrating season for him as it has been for everybody, but I think you get into a mentality that you got to get the ball out, and then sometimes you lose sight of the situation in the game, knowing that you got to drive the ball down the field at times too.
Knuckling punt. This is a live ball. Hyde touched it. We'll see if he was able to get back on top of it.
Pretty close, but that's the kind of break that Minnesota needs if they were able to get on it.
Hyde looks to be in better position for that loose ball. And it stays with Green Bay, and Hyde is able to exhale. Off his hands and able to scramble and get back on top of it. 18-point game. The Packers possessing the football at Lambeau.
Today's game is sponsored by Burger King. Now you can get 2 delicious Whopper meals for just $10 only at Burger King.
On Christmas Eve from Lambeau Field as we welcome you back, and the Green Bay Packers are set up leading by 18, starting at their own 47. They run it with Kristen Michael. Flag is thrown, and Michael is bent over backward by linebacker Anthony Barr. Here's the call.
Holding, number 78 offense. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
That's against the rookie Jason Spriggs, second-round pick out of IU.
We talked about Anthony Barr. You see Anthony Spriggs there, who got called holding Everson Griffin, but Anthony Barr, he's shown up a little bit more here today than he had in other games, and a lot of discussion, as you said earlier, Joe, about him and Mike Zimmer addressing her Pro Bowl player last season, and his production has just been way down. And he certainly was challenged this week, and for the most part, I believe he's responded to that.
Go.
First and 20 now after the hold, and this one is floated downfield and caught by Jared Cook. Covered by Trey Waynes, and somehow Cook hauled it in. Good for 30.
Well, Trey Waynes is a good young corner. I mean, normally you get the mixed match on a tight end when you've got a safety or a linebacker in coverage. He's going up against a corner, former first-round pick last year, and Cook shows strong hands and good coverage, actually, but Cook is able to go up and make a play, and boy, he has really gained the confidence of Aaron Rodgers once he's come back from his injury and the plays that he's been able to make.
First 300-yard passer allowed this season by the Vikings defense. Meanwhile, Brian Bulaga came out after that last play. Pass is caught by Janis. And for Aaron Rodgers, 8th time he's faced a Mike Zimmer coach defense, twice with the Bengals as defensive coordinator, 6 times with the Vikings. First time he's thrown for 300 yards against a Zimmer defense.
Well, Mike Zimmer said yesterday, he said that the only chance we have is we have to cover them up. In the last 2 games that the Vikings have won against the Packers, they've been able to do that. He says we're going to bring pressure. We've got to get to Aaron Rodgers. We've got to be able to cover on the outside, and that's what they've not been able to do.
Adams starts this play in the backfield. Devontae Adams.
319.
Rodgers has completed passes to 8 different receivers. He finds Adams, who makes one tackler miss. He can't make the rest of the defense miss. He went around Harrison Smith. No gain. So Rodgers is now thrown for 330. 3 touchdowns, found 8 different receivers, and he's run for a touchdown. That's back-to-back bad weeks for this Vikings defense. Last week they could say, well, we didn't have Harrison Smith. They cannot say that today.
No, I think they certainly ran into a different offense than the one they faced in week 2, but this defense has been carrying the load all year, and I just think it's finally taken its toll the last 2 games.
2 fullbacks in there for Green Bay on 3rd and 2, and the pass caught by Nelson for a first down. What a day for number 87, who missed all of last year recovering from a torn ACL. And he has been impossible to cover. And for Nelson, a 154-yard day. 2 touchdowns. And just caught one for a first down and got hit on his way to getting a fresh set of downs for Green Bay.
It's pretty remarkable. I mean, most of the time you come off a major knee injury, it takes 2 years before you're really back to your old self. He started out the year slow, but what a season, as you said, just 1 year removed from reconstructive knee surgery.
Timeout taken by Green Bay. This is the first half of 2 games on your television for the NFL on Fox. The Cardinals and Seahawks later. Seahawks right there for a number 2 seed. Huge game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then the 49ers and the Rams. You see the NFC South. It's Atlanta on top. And at the start of the day, Tampa Bay on the outside of the playoff picture. Atlanta leading that game as Atlanta takes on Carolina. So Tampa Bay's got to win to have any hope with a win in week 17 with some help.
Well, with a win today, if the Packers do win, we'll probably be in Detroit next week, right?
Is that what you're saying? That's what you're thinking, huh? First down for Green Bay. Here's Michael. Kristen Michael takes it inside the 20.
Good job,
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, by the way, haven't been to the playoffs since 2007. That was a year that belonged to the Giants. The Giants are on the verge of getting into the postseason for the first time since they won it all in the 2011 season when they beat the Patriots for the second time in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, boy, they were on a nice little run there, and then they run into Philadelphia with a chance to clinch a playoff berth and just did not show up. At least offensively. We'll see what they're able to do next week.
Second down and 7. Cook, end zone, incomplete. Covered by Kendricks. Tell you what, Eric Kendricks has come to play today. He's back in coverage on a guy who can fly from the tight end spot.
Yeah, the putting Trey Waynes on him, the corner, that didn't work out so well. So we put Kendricks on him. He's been all over the field with his Vikings defense. He has really played well. He's a dynamic player. Great speed. Another Bruin.
11 tackles, 2.5 sacks. Former second-round pick out of UCLA. That was last year. 3rd and 7. Two timeouts on this possession for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was talking to us about Jared Cook. He said the report I got was he's got speed, he's really smart, not that sure-handed of a pass receiver. And I said, well, where is he now in the trust tree for you? He says, right there in the nest. Catches everything. I said, I can't remember a ball that he should have caught that he didn't catch. And we saw that great catch earlier against Trey Waynes.
Yeah, Aaron's brought that up a couple times when we've seen him about the scouting report that those that he was working out with in the offseason in California had told him, and so I don't know where that came from. The guy doesn't drop anything.
Great guy too.
Well, I mean, it's been a long time. Jermichael Finley was really the last tight end, and those guys, a back that can catch the ball out of the backfield and a tight end that can catch, are huge weapons for any quarterback. And Rodgers has never really had any of that, at least at the tight end position, not since Jermichael Finley. He's never had a back like that, and you can see why he's so excited right now about those two players, Ty Montgomery, Cook, and then of course Jared Nelson, Devontae Adams, and Randall Cobb when he's healthy.
Play clock at 1. Flags. This could be for anything. Delay a game. Offside. Here it is.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense number 97. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
The play clock was at 0 when Everson Griffin came across.
And that's why it came across. Those defensive linemen, they're really good. They know where the play clocks are, and when they see it counting down, they know the ball has to be snapped. And they caught him on it, but yeah, he's not happy with himself. But I think they could have called delay a game there as well.
3rd down and 2.
One-on-one down here with Jordy Nelson. I don't know why he wouldn't go to him here.
Pass is caught for the touchdown, Richard Rodgers. A flag at the end of the play. And it appears it's against Minnesota.
Richard Rodgers has kind of been the forgotten guy. You see the route that he runs on Harrison Smith. He pushes him as though he's going to the outside, then straight up the seam, and then it's up to Rodgers to beat the safety with the ball, which he does, and he puts it right on him. That's a really good job by Rodgers.
Personal foul. Number 34 in the defense hit in the helmet of the receiver after he scored. That 15-yard penalty would be enforced on the kickoff.
It's against Sendejo for the hit after the touchdown. Meanwhile, Richard Rodgers came in, as you said, the forgotten guy. He's got 2 catches in this game, had just 4 catches over the last 4 games, while Jared Cook had kind of taken over as the primary weapon at the tight end spot. Crosby knocks it through, and it's a 38-13 game on America's Game of the Week. Packers red hot on a cold Christmas Eve day at Lambeau. 19th time in Aaron Rodgers' career with 4 touchdown passes in a game. He's also run one in for a score, and it's a 38-13 game. Vikings going to get it back. The kickoff coming from the 50 after the penalty on Sendejo. Give you a recap of the day Aaron Rodgers has had here in week 16. Devontae Adams, good throw there. Found Jordy Nelson, his second of the game, then ran one in. Hit a Lambeau leap. And moments ago just found Richard Rodgers. Rodgers to Rodgers. A fun day for this offense. Here at Lambeau Field, they will have a road date. Week 17 matchup at Detroit next week. That will be for the division. Pass is caught by Patterson. And he gets about 10. They're going to give him enough for a first down. Here's Kurt with a game break.
All right, the Atlanta Falcons have a chance to wrap up the NFC South with a win today and a loss by Tampa later. And right now, they're taking care of the win part at Carolina. Tevin Coleman, 55-yard touchdown run. They're up 30-13 from the fourth quarter. Joe Tornero.
Yeah, so for as well as Matt Ryan has played, he's been brilliant. Here's Bradford going to run. Slide as he crossed the 40. That running back combination, when healthy for Atlanta, has been almost impossible to stop. And so they can get you a lot of different ways. That's a dangerous team. You said that in the on camera a bit earlier with regard to who could knock off the #1 seeded Dallas Cowboys. I'm with you on Atlanta. 2nd and 5. Bradford throws. Pass caught by Thielen. Did he get enough for a first down? Demarius Randall on the stop. Let's see where they mark it. Right on the marker. It looks like it's 3rd and inches.
Atlanta seems to be one of those teams each year when they're going into postseason that tends to be overlooked. But Dan Quinn, he's done a good job there. They're well coached. Like you said, offensively, they got a lot of good skill players. And Matt Ryan pulling the trigger. Yeah, they're going to be a tough out.
Here's McKinnon for the first down to midfield.
You look at this game here, Joe, the turning point, in my opinion, is the strip sack by Clay Matthews right before the first half, when it looked like Minnesota was driving, and if who knows what might have happened on that drive if they don't turn it over, but maybe at least 3 points. They cut it to 5, and instead they go in at half down 15, and they just haven't been the same since.
Bradford has to scramble, and the pass is caught by Kyle Rudolph, and then a collision along the sideline with the line judge. And Sarah Thomas, the line judge, who popped right back up. You could see her say, "I'm all right."
Yeah, you know, we're doing this Packers game, and Gil Haskell back in the NFC Championship game in '95 when I was playing, Similar situation. He got hit his head, and he spent quite some time in a Dallas hospital, really worried about him. I'm concerned about her too. It didn't look like she hit her head, but that was a pretty good neck snap.
Well,
going to the ground.
Yeah, there is concussion protocol for officials as well. And so the hit was one thing, but then back into the ground, and her head snapped back off the hard ground here at Lambeau Field. So hopefully she's okay. 2nd and 11 from the 49. Pass to McKinnon underneath, and a nice sure tackle made by Thomas. 3rd down coming up.
Well, we know what happened last week with this Packers defense against the Bears, and they thought they had the game in control, and we're up 17, and all of a sudden the Bears are tying it up. But I think Dom Capers, he'll give those underneath throws if that's all that Bradford's going to take.
Now it's 4th down. Pass broken up. Diggs was the target. Micah Hyde in coverage, and the Vikings are going to be forced to go for it as they trail here at 25.
And here comes Clay Matthews and Nick Perry onto the field for their pass rush. Now Mike Zimmer, he's thinking that maybe they should have got a call for pass interference. Clay Matthews, as I talked about the play that he made on that strip sack, he has shown up today in a limited role.
Fourth down and 4. Pass caught. Thielen, who else? Got a 1st down, and then got a big hit by Quentin Rollins. Meanwhile, Sarah Thomas is being walked off the field. She'll go in for a closer look as they check her out after this hit. Rudolph, and then back into the field. And you know that on a cold day here at Lambeau Field, that is a rock solid surface along the sideline. Here's Asiata spinning to the 25, brought down by Burnett. A run of 8.
Well, the Vikings moving the ball here, but they're taking a lot of time off the clock in the process.
48.
Here's a pass caught underneath by Asiata. Takes it to the 10. Brought down by Morgan Burnett. So a 1st down. Vikings not willing to go quietly here at Lambeau.
Yeah, nor are they showing a whole lot of urgency, considering they're down 25 points.
It is 1st and goal. Pass is off the hands of Kyle Rudolph. Micah Hyde in coverage. 2nd and goal.
We talked about the injuries to this Packers secondary and the job Dom Capers has done. The one thing they have shown is they've got a lot of depth. I mean, guys have come in off the bench and plugged in different roles and have done okay. You know, Micah Hyde, he's very versatile. You know, you almost have to be based on what has happened, but he's a guy who can play safety. He plays the slot nickel corner. He's good off the edge.
2nd down and goal. Asiata breaks one tackle, takes it to the 3. They lost Ladarius Gunter to an elbow injury. Talking about Green Bay's secondary. Randall's been in and out. Dorleant has had to come in, a rookie that they added to their roster in the 2nd half of the season. So you're right, the depth is tested. And now it'll be 3rd and goal from the 3.
Well, Demarius Randall, he was a little slow moving around too. He had that shoulder injury that I was talking about. He had to come up trying to make a tackle.
Down.
Extra men on the rush. Pass is caught by Diggs for the touchdown. Good throw by Bradford for the score. And Stephon Diggs has his 3rd touchdown catch of the year.
They press on the outside. Diggs lines up in the slot. He goes to the corner, and Bradford puts it out there where it needs to be against Micah Hyde in coverage. You see the mood. Stephon Diggs, he's a tough guy to cover. He's really a pretty amazing player. He's a 5th round pick, and he's probably going to be getting a letter from the commissioner along with a bill We're throwing that one up into the stands.
Yeah, but like a trip to Wrigley Field, the fans threw it back. Whoever it was had a chance for a souvenir walking out of Lambeau today on Christmas Eve, and bang off the right upright, off the foot of Kai Forbath, as he misses his third extra point. Diggs didn't want it, neither did the fan here at Lambeau. 38-19 game.
Today's game is sponsored by Samsung Pay. Turn your phone into your wallet.
We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers' day, and then, if we haven't already talked about it enough, but definitely in the MVP conversation, as Forbath, instead of the onside kick, kicks it deep, and Ty Montgomery will bring it back for Green Bay and take it to the 25. The Minnesota Vikings now have missed 7 extra points, kind of a footnote in this game, but the combination of Blair Walsh and now Kai Forbath, 7 extra points missed, and Aaron Rodgers will sit the rest of this one out. Brett Hundley will come in for the last 4-14, take over a 5th-round pick who's been a preseason darling for the Green Bay Packers. They like him a lot.
Well, they do like him. He just doesn't get a chance to play much. He's got 9 pass attempts this season, and this is what it's been relegated to, is just at the end of these ball games.
Here's Michael over the right side. Terrence Newman is there to greet him.
Not a lot of work for backups to Aaron Rodgers and Eli Manning.
No.
Those guys.
Coming up next, the Cardinals and the Seahawks, or the Bucks and the Saints. That's a big game for the Bucks. They need it. They have any hope of getting to the postseason for the first time since '07. Timeout taken by Minnesota. And if you talk about MVP, I don't know. You know, a couple of weeks ago, everybody was talking about Matthew Stafford, that he should be in the MVP conversation. Obviously, Tom Brady is always in it. But you see the year for Aaron Rodgers: 36 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, the yardage, the completion percentage, and what he means to this team. You could make a case for another one for Aaron.
Well, you could. The last 6 games, 14 touchdowns, no interceptions for Aaron Rodgers. I think he just came on probably a little too late for the MVP voting.
2nd and 13. Not there with Allison down the sideline, so the clock is stopped with 3:59.
And by coming on late, I don't mean him. I think he's played well all year. His numbers were phenomenal, even when people were criticizing his play, but more the offense than anything else. But for me, looking at it, I think Tom Brady would be an excellent pick. I don't know that he'll win it because he missed the first 4 games, but what he's done this year, you know, really incredible. If I were to say, I'd go with Ezekiel Elliott. I think as the, you know, some say that as a rookie he may not win it, you know, that may work against him, but as the league's leading rusher and for a team who's tied for the best record in football, he would get my vote.
1,551 rushing yards, 13 touchdowns to lead the NFL in his rookie season behind that great offensive line in Dallas.
False start. Offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Well, we actually talked with Aaron Rodgers when we met with him yesterday about that rookie combination. Dak Prescott, who he's become a fan of from afar. He's never met him. Looks forward to meeting him, obviously, at some point here soon. And said, boys, Ezekiel Elliott is really good. Yeah, the line's great, but Elliott is sensational. Here's Christian Michael.
I think they're just scratching the surface in Dallas with Ezekiel Elliott as well. I mean, he's a terrific runner, and he's shown that. And he can catch the ball, but I think that's the element that they haven't exploited yet. They haven't had to, but he's got the ability of a Le'Veon Bell. And I think Le'Veon Bell, you know, he's another one of those guys that certainly could be in the conversation. He's my comeback player of the year. But Ezekiel could do those same type of things as a receiver.
Timeout taken by the Vikings. They have 1 left. It's obviously a 19-point game, and that means it's a 3-score game. As you look at the playoff picture, there's Dallas on top, Seattle the number 2 seed, Atlanta working their way to 10-5, and the Lions will play on Monday night against the Dallas Cowboys on the road in what really turns into a meaningless game, as it turns out, because Detroit, even if they lose that game, they play at home against the Green Bay Packers. If they win that, they go 1 game in front of Green Bay and win the North. That's in week 17. Here's Sherrills on the return, and a good return to the 35. Meanwhile, on the other side of the coin, with a loss, the Vikings are officially eliminated, and they join this list they want no part of. 5-0 teams to miss the playoffs since the 12-team playoff format started in 1990. The Saints, the Vikings in 03, the Giants, the Broncos, and the Atlanta Falcons of last year. Defense was terrific early. They kind of caved in, I think, going along the lines of what you said, with all the pressure that was on them, having to be almost perfect for the Vikings to win, as the offensive line was struggling in Minnesota. The ground game was non-existent. Here's one to McKinnon. A juggle with a catch, and that's not going to do much. A gain of 2.
The other thing that we lose sight of is the fact that Sam Bradford, the reason he's here is because they lost Teddy Bridgewater, you know, in the last preseason game, and then they lose their franchise running back Adrian Peterson week 2, and of course the injuries at the offensive line position just proved to be way too much for this team to overcome.
Bradford is sacked, and it's Nick Perry who has his team-leading 9th sack of the year. Talk about Mike Zimmer, the head coach. Aaron, it's been a rough year for him personally.
Oh my goodness. And of course, as you mentioned, with this team, but Joe, personally, he's already had 4 surgeries on his right eye. He was dealing with a detached retina, and he shared with us this week he's going to have 1 more surgery after the season. So 5 surgeries total. I was talking to him a bit about it today. He said it's still very blurry. He can't really make out anything in front of him with that right eye. He even questioned whether he was going to wear some sunglasses today, because he's still very, very sensitive to the light, guys.
Aaron, thanks. Johnson was the target, now 4th down and 12. So while Sam Bradford has thrown for a season high 321 yards, he's got 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. It has not really been an impressive day. It's kind of funny to say about this Vikings offense.
Yeah, no, it has. And I'm going to go back to Mike Zimmer and really coaches in general. You look around the league, whether it's Bruce Arians, Todd Bowles this week, not traveling with the team, and you know, there's a lot of stress, and I think fans in general don't recognize it. I certainly felt it as a quarterback, but for these head coaches, tremendous amount of stress, and you'll never convince me that some of what Zim's dealt with hasn't had something to do with the stress of the job this year.
What a catch by Adam Thielen. I mean, he's as unstoppable as Nelson the other way. Look at this grab as he works against Rollins.
Yeah, he's had himself a heck of a day catching the football in tight coverage and knowing there's a small window there and you're going to get hit. You know, this game will end, and you always talk about the victors, and Jordy Nelson will be the one who's discussed, but Adam Thielen's had a nice day.
Here's Diggs underneath. I know a new audience just joined us. Vikings are down to 1 timeout. We approach the 2-minute warning. This has been a day for Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay offense. On the other side, it's been Adam Thielen for Sam Bradford. They need to get a snap away here before the 2-minute warning, and they don't. 2 minutes left at Lambeau Field. Packers on their way to their 5th straight win. What a day for number 12. Best news down the stretch of this game is Sarah Thomas is back. We saw her leave, get checked out in the locker room, make sure that there was no head injury, and so she's back. 2nd down and 6. Handoff is to McKinnon. And if you're just joining us, line judge Sarah Thomas got hit and then smacked her head into this hard turf at Lambeau Field, but good to see her back. 3rd down now for the Vikings. 3rd and a yard and a half. Bradford. End zone broken up. Clinton Dix broke it up. Target was Kyle Rudolph. 4th down.
talked about Clinton Dix making his first Pro Bowl, and initially when that ball was thrown, I thought he might be able to get turned back around and make an interception on it, but as much as they've been hurt on the outside at corners, as I said earlier, Clinton Dix and Morgan Burnett, they both have played outstanding, and they've been one of the centerpieces for this defense.
4th down and 2. Here is Rudolph. He's got the first down at the 1. It'll be 1st and goal from the 1 with under a minute and a half to go. Here's McKinnon. Flag flies. I don't know about that formation.
I don't think the Vikings did either. There's a lot of confusion.
I don't know if they had enough men on the line of scrimmage or not.
It was the most urgency they've shown all day.
We'll get the call with a minute 15 to go.
Illegal formation. Offense. The whitest man was off the line and uncovered and ineligible. 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
So that'll move it back 5 yards to the 6.
You know, I mean, am I wrong?
What,
they were kind of going through the motions in their no huddle prior, and then on that one, they decided to get into a hurry and they couldn't even get lined up right.
They get lined up here with Bradford back there in the shotgun by himself. 1st and goal. Bradford out to his right, throws back and out of the back of the end zone for Rudolph. The flag is down.
Holding, number 62, offense. 10-yard penalty, repeat. 1st down.
Man, this is a nightmare. They get to the 1. They get a conversion on 4th and 2 on a little flip to Rudolph, and now Nick Easton is guilty of a hold on Kenny Clark, and the ball's all the way back at the 16-yard line.
Yeah, let's just take a knee and end this thing.
First and goal from the 16. Pass is caught. Rudolph inside the 10. The State Farm Game Break show is coming up. Then the second half of the doubleheader here on a special Christmas Eve edition of football on Fox. Can you believe the Vikings have 435 total yards in this game to the Packers 348? Bradford, end zone for the touchdown. And it's Thielen again. But only 32 seconds remain.
Well, Thielen works that back line, and with this reception, he has over 200 yards receiving for the afternoon. It's a great performance. It's going to get lost in the final score, but he hangs on to it.
The interim offensive coordinator for Minnesota, Pat Shurmur, said, when we asked him to describe Sam Bradford, he said he's the toughest skinny guy I know. And he has taken a lot of hits in this game. Going for 2 here. On the year 1 for 2 and 2-point tries of the Vikings. It's McKinnon. Won't get there. He ran into Matthews and Burnett. Matthews is there to stop him short of the end zone. There's Thielen. He gets the touchdown. He's got 2 on the day. 12 for 202. And he's a guy that you have to start paying attention to as one of the younger good receivers in the NFL.
Yeah, I think if you'd said that the Vikings would have over 440 yards of offense at the end of the day, you'd have felt pretty good about that if you were a Vikings fan. The 2 turnovers certainly cost them.
We're going to give Green Bay the win. That gets them to 9-6. It means that Detroit's game at Dallas on Monday night really doesn't mean anything. They're going to battle in Week 17 for the division. And that's because Green Bay, Troy, as you know, has already beaten Detroit. So if they were to win in Week 17, then they win on the tiebreaker.
Yeah, and so we talked earlier about, you know, what does Dallas do since they've clinched home field advantage throughout? What does Detroit do Monday night? You know, are they going to rest some players, or are they going to play it with full strength?
The onside kick recovered by Minnesota and Jaron Curse. We welcome in a new audience. An onside kick was just recovered by Minnesota. I wonder if one of the Vikings, and it was close, touched that ball before it went 10 yards. We might get a look at that. But a recap for those of you just joining us. What a day for Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers, 28 of 38, 347 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 to Jordy Nelson. He ran one in. He also threw one to Davante Adams and Richard Rodgers. It's been all smiles for the Green Bay Packers on their sideline on their way to their 5th straight win. But still no call from this officiating crew as to whether that was a clean recovery. And I guess the answer is it is. Let's take another look. It was off a Green Bay Packer. It was off Blake Martinez. I thought it might have hit a Viking before it went 10 yards, but it was off Martinez, and so the recovery is good by the Vikings as they take over, trailing in this game by 13.
And Martinez, he's just coming up trying to make a block and to clear a space. Then for Jared Cook to be able to recover it off his ankle, but
on first down, Bradford finds Patterson to midfield. When the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions meet in Week 17 in Detroit next week, the Lions will be gunning for their first division title since 1993. While Mike McCarthy and his Packers, as the Vikings take their final time out, will be shooting for the postseason for the 8th consecutive year, and that would add on to what is already a franchise record. In the NFC North, at Dallas on ESPN Monday night, the Lions, and then at home against Green Bay. And that'll be for the division.
Well, it is really pretty incredible when you consider what New England's been able to accomplish, getting to the postseason so many years in a row. Of course, they've got world championships to show for it as well, but the Packers, the Seahawks, it's hard to be that consistent year in and year out, but those 3 franchises in particular have been.
Here is Rudolph. Yeah, the Patriots are on a Bobby Cox Atlanta Braves kind of run from Major League Baseball. New England's won their division 8 straight years. That is just unheard of in today's NFL, with all the player movement, the salary cap, to maintain that level of excellence. With Bill Belichick, he's one of the constants. The other is the guy at quarterback.
Yeah, and the others, it's been a lot of different people, you know, that they've done it with. And I think that's the thing that impresses me the most about the Patriots.
Another sack for Perry, his 2nd of the game, and that'll do it. Good night to Week 16 for the Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are eliminated, and the Packers have won 5 straight, and they'll play at Detroit next week on Sunday for the NFC North. The game ends on a sack. And the day for Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdowns plus a touchdown run. And Jordy Nelson, 9 catches, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kurt, all yours back in LA.